The stock of the day is brought to you by IG, Australia's #1 CFD provider. With over 17,000 markets and extended trading hours, turn US earnings season volatility into opportunity. Get started at IG.com.
All right, stock of the day. I thought we'd take a look at Fortescue. The iron ore price fell below $100 overnight, $96.95 US. Brings the steelmaking metal down 23% since the beginning of 2024. Now, this downturn is notably explained by the weaker demand from China off the back of that slowing economic activity. As a result, we've seen pricing pressure on Aussie mining stocks, with Fortescue down 38% since early January. Now, is this the bottom of the cycle? That all of the analysts that come on the call say, oh, these are cyclical stocks. You don't buy them when the commodity is high. You buy them when the commodity is low. But then when the commodity is low, everyone goes, oh, maybe it could go lower. Is it really the bottom or not? Ben Clark, is this, like everyone preaches, buy cyclicals at the bottom. And then when we get to the bottom, no one pulls the trigger because they all...
And no one knows... Are we at the bottom? I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, hindsight will tell you. I wouldn't buy Fortescue, but I would nibble away at BHP because just basically on what you said there. I think there's this growing sense of a bit of gloom around China, and everyone you speak to that's been to China recently will tell you that it's fairly grim. And we saw not just from the resource stocks, but from companies like A2 Milk and some of the other businesses that are exposed to China, that there are real pressures on the country at the moment, and on the steel price and the iron ore price as a result. Fortescue, you saw that little green circle in front of their new logo, and I'm sure that's intentional because the new management team are talking up this move into green iron ore or green steel, which Champion CIA is another big proponent of. And what these guys are looking for is ways to value add over and above what the spot price of iron ore is doing. Ultimately, what the spot price of iron ore does will dictate what the share price does. I would say it was interesting that Capital Group, one of their largest and earliest shareholders, sold out their entire stake a few weeks ago, leading into the result. It was one of the biggest block trades that's gone through the Australian market this year, and they're, I would say, very well followed. So I kind of be a hold on Fortescue if we're after a recommendation, but there are other iron ore stocks I would be looking to purchase.
Okay, all right, and just as a bit of a hint, we've got BHP came out later in the show, so we'll be more on it. But this whole buying cyclicals when they're down, it is a very brave soul that actually does that, isn't it? Because there is always this doubt. China always comes back and stimulates the economy, but will it do it this time? Is it a different sort of downturn? They usually stimulate it through property. Well, they can't do it through property anymore. They've got a massive glut. Is this the issue for iron ore?
I reckon my view would be there's one short-term issue and there's one long-term issue with China. The short-term issue is this enormous issue in the property market that they've got, and they're still trying to work out. And there's various levers potentially they could solve it with, or they could let their consumers do it tough. The longer term issue is the declining birth rate. China has a population of 1.45 billion roughly at the moment, and it's forecast at the year 2100 to be 760 million.
No.
So there's like a 780. So the population is forecast to halve, and there's a lot of assets that they've built for what is going to be a much smaller population. So unless the immigration policies change, maybe it's do we see a Japan-style story there? I think there will be, but it is like it's complex. They've got to keep the people happy to a point. Otherwise, you have the risk of potentially an uprising or something like that. So Hard to know, Koshy. I think there could be a bit more pain. I mean, the other thing you just got to remember with iron ore stocks, it's not just what the iron ore price is, it's also what analysts are using as their assumptions for the iron ore price, that all the estimates that are getting fed into the broker models are coming off. And analysts have got decidedly more bearish in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And most analysts are using spot price assumptions, which are quite a bit below the current spot price. So even if the spot price holds, ironically, you can actually see analyst upgrades into the end of the year, and you'll see a stronger share price.
Okay. Shawn?
When you talk about buying into weakness and cyclical businesses, we've talked a number of times, David, BHP, and I know I'm dressing into Fortescue here, sell 50, buy 40.
Yeah.
Okay, we did that last week.
Yeah.
BHP went below 40, market matters went up. We only went to market weight. I stress that. So we've been underweight for the last few months. Right. We went to market weight. We believe, to use Ben's phrase, this is the time to be nibbling around the quality end of the curve.
Right.
I don't necessarily believe that Fortescue is the quality end when we compare these two stocks.
Right.
There's a lot of moving parts with iron ore, exactly as Ben was saying. Don't forget the Chinese haven't got to worry about an election.
No.
So it's a little bit different.
That's
right. They might ban the sale of condoms, and they might push people to have more children. They've had a one-child policy, now they can have the reverse. They can pull some levers.
They reversed that a while ago.
I know. The point I'm making is they can push.
But everyone thought they'd all go out and, hey, we can have more than one child. Well, they haven't.
No, it's a very interesting psychology. My wife is Chinese background, so I get a feel for the whole thing. I mean, when it comes to investments, the Chinese only believe in gold and property. Yeah. So they're not having a very good time on their property, but obviously gold's looking after them. They don't believe in shares. It's not really part of their psyche. They really, really believe, as we even know in Australia, about education. Right. So when they have a child, they want to give that child the best. If they have two, they want to make sure they can give those two children the best education, etc. So there are the ways that the Chinese government can do this. They can, if you have a second child, we can help you do this.
Give
and
you
help you do that.
Baby bonuses.
They're going to have to do these things. Right. Otherwise, people will stick with one and done, and let's give that one the best education possible. Maybe send them to a overseas university. Probably not here anymore. We're sort of closing the doors, etc. A lot of moving parts. In summary, I regard Fortescue as a hold. It's not the way I'd play the space. Right.
So you wouldn't be buying in, saying this is the bottom of the iron ore cycle?
We own Fortescue in our income portfolio. I should clarify that. And if we didn't have a position, I think Fortescue will give a good yield around these prices for the next few years. Because Ben made a very, very important point as well. Is what price, not what price iron ore is today, is what price we've got built in by the analysts or their models. Right. And they're pretty pessimistic. Yep. Whereas I think the chap that was on before, Paul Bloxham, was talking about the fact that iron ore's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up again, it's come down again, it's probably around the right price. If it's around the correct price, then by definition, the likes of Fortescue and BHP are probably cheap. Right. So, we feel that Fortescue at these levels is a very, very good yield play for the brave. I stress that, for the brave. It's not a conservative yield play. Right. And we like BHP to nibble into this current level.
Because they're a cheap producer, aren't they? Even at these levels, they're making good money.
Oh, they are, but they don't make as good a quality iron ore as BHP. No. But absolutely, they make good money. And they've now pulled their head in with the whole green energy expansion phase, even though they've put a new logo on. Yep. So as long as they don't get too carried away again about how they might spend to become more green in the future, because we've seen what's happened to the lithium stocks. If they stick at iron ore stays here, they do very well.
Okay, all right. Great discussion. Fortescue was our stock of the day.
The stock of the day was brought to you by IG. Turn volatility into opportunity this US earnings season with extended trading hours on over 110 key US shares. Get started at IG.com.